Live from Studio B at the Beach Street Yacht Club, it's show number 350.
Wow.
TFE Live. Julie, I trust you're well?
Of course.
Everybody's saying, Bill Wingrove and others saying, we're getting used to this whole business with YouTube. This is what, our fourth YouTube show. Show 350 overall. We're delighted you all can join us for this. I'm your host, Tom Ehman, and of course, my co-host and coordinating, supervising, producer, Commodore at the Beach Street Yacht Club, Julia Wedekind, who's always here, almost always here with us, and it's a delight to have all the rest of you with us, too, on this Tuesday, the 17th of November, in a year that has been lost, just lost. I don't know how else to say. I got to turn down some of my screen brightnesses so I'm not reflecting. You know what? One of the things with YouTube, Julia, is that the phone, there's got to be a way of doing dark mode on the phone with YouTube because it's reflecting in my glasses, right? You see that? Which is crutonic, obviously. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it off there and put it someplace else. I don't know where, but it's crutonic. And we can't have see that reflection right there. It is. I covered up, and it's right there. I'm going to angle it differently or something.
Yeah, I was going to say a little different angle.
Different angle. Angle of the dangle. Angle of attack. Okay, well, we're still learning this whole YouTube thing. Thanks, everybody, for joining us in what is our show number 350. It's hard to believe that it's been, I guess going on 4 years now. And show 350 and doing 2 a week, sometimes 3, rarely 4, but they do add up, don't they, Julie?
They do.
And we do welcome all of you and delighted to have you. Clark Chapin, who's on with us and is our statistician. Thank you, Clark, for all you do for us. Julia.
Sir.
Your witness.
Oh, yes. It's raining today, so take this opportunity to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, it is kind of a rainy, crummy day here. And if you're so inclined, please join us via Patreon. Comments, thumbs up, everything that you do helps us out. But join us on Patreon at patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated. And we're deeply appreciative for your support. Even if you give us $1 a month, $5, some people give us rather more than that. And again,
thank goodness.
We are really appreciative. Today's show, again, is on YouTube. We have moved to YouTube. We're still doing it Tuesdays and Fridays at 1300 Pacific. And a couple of show notes. Here is one. The live chat replay, we're still struggling with that. I have gone back and double-checked all the settings, and we should have live chat replay. And it did happen on some of our previous, one or two of our previous shows, but not all of them. And why I'm not 100% sure. And I've Googled it and had YouTube and everybody looking at it, but I guess it's one of these things that sort of comes and goes. So we'll hopefully not have a problem with that big picture long term. One other feature that we have managed to turn on is that I now am indexing the show. So if you go down below the show where it's on our YouTube page and you click on more, up comes these, and we'll do this with reliably each show after each show. You can see there the 000 intro. If you click on the blue numbers, it'll pop you right straight forward to that index, right to that chapter in the show, and eventually it'll even show up apparently on the progress bar on the bottom of the YouTube video. So that's kind of cool stuff, don't you think, Julia?
Yes, I haven't had a chance to work it.
Who all is here? Let's have a look. You're a witness again.
No, not ready.
You're not. Okay. Well, I will see who's here on my list. It's now that it's not popping into my glasses quite so much. Wet Hog, hello to you, sir, again. Dogzilla up in Seattle. Dogzilla Monster, who, of course, is Stingray. He goes by several names. Bill Wingrove, I'm not used to neither are any of us, Bill. Thank you. Clark Chapin in suddenly wintry Michigan. Yeah, well, it's suddenly difficult here as well. It's our winter. It's windy and rainy here in the Bay Area. Good evening from Denmark, Gordon Smith says. Lovely people. Thank you. And a new name, I think. Jane Boaventura. Hello, Jane. Welcome to you. Joan Rodriguez Ventura. Boaventura. Jonathan Frank is down in the Third Coast, down in Texas. Daniel Gruen, Bill Wingrove, on and on and on. Clark Chapin, somehow S 5.7L doesn't quite. Okay, you guys are. We're talking about 350. Gordon Smith is saying is a binary number. Yada yada. Okay, you guys can argue. You engineers, you a lot brighter people than I can talk about all that as we have a look here now at what else is going on in the world, particularly in the world of the Vendée Globe. We are going to cover this because it's interesting stuff. They started last Sunday, a week ago Sunday. So this is, depending on how you count it, I counted Sunday, the 8th, as day 1. So that would make today day 10 of this nonstop circumnavigation. They go south of Cape of Good Hope and then Cape Lewin there in the southwest corner of Australia, fall off the map and come back on.
Yes.
From the west, go around Cape Horn and then up to Europe in something under 75 days, I suppose. We'll say. I can't remember what the record is. One of you will know. There is the current progress as about 4 hours ago, 1700 UTC. And UTC, what time is it in CET? Their plus sign is 2200 now, so it's more like 5 hours ago when that map was taken. But good for us. I've got it here live on the tracker, and it really is a good tracker, as we've been saying. They're obviously off the Horn of Africa now, almost to the equator. The leader, Hugo Boss, Alex Thomson, almost to the equator. You can see where my cursor is. You can use the plus mark over here on the right to zoom in, if you so care to do so, which is nice. You can also click over here on the leaderboard, and you can see, and you can scroll the leaderboard. Jean Lacam, who's many people's favorite, is sailing an old boat. He's an old guy, 61, sailing an old boat, and a lot of people following his progress. Thomas Rouillon, who's in second, is a regular and a very successful IMOCA 60 sailor, and on down to Escoffier and Burton and so on. Boris Herman, who we've also been following, and we will continue to do so. If you go over here on the right side of the map, let me go back to the close-up of that, and you click there on these things down the right side, give you some different features of the map, one of which is to put what do you call that? The geopolitical map, I guess, on. That's that one, and you can click them on and off. That gives you a close-up of 1, 2, 3. And then I'll take that off, and then some distances. You can see the 2016 record where the fleet was in 2016 with that notch. Go down one more. That's daylight, no daylight, I guess. This is very interesting. I like this one because it shows the wind across the fleet. And you can go back up top, take that top one off and see the entire fleet. I guess I have to zoom out. But this is now showing the wind when it's easterly for just about the entire fleet. They having gone through that first low pressure system, that storm, a couple days ago. But you can see that Alex Thomson there, the leader in the black and red boat down here, Hugo Boss, is in quite a bit more of an easterly, but he seems to have gotten through the light patch. There's some doldrums ahead of him. You can see the lighter patch. And then some more southeasterly, whereas the guys and gals behind him are in a more of a northeasterly up in here. But it's quite a good tracker. It may be the best race tracker we have seen.
It is a really good one.
And full marks to Vendée Globe for that. And we'll keep following them and the race. Here's the current status. While Nicolas Trousseau is motoring, he's the guy that lost his rig a day or so ago, is motoring slowly into lumpy seas. He's done. He can't get repaired in time, or he's obviously not going to go all the way back up to France. He'll pull in someplace else, presumably. But his Vendée Globe abandoned after his mast was broken early yesterday morning. That was Monday morning. This afternoon, in bright sunshine and light winds off Les Sables d'Olonne, Jeremy Bayou has resuscitated his own race. He restarted, and he's now 2,700 nautical miles or so behind the leader, Alex Thomson, who was negotiating the first hours of his doldrums passage on Hugo Boss. Promised a smooth passage through the 300 to 350 mile wide intertropical convergence zone by weather gurus. Thomson should be first across the equator in the middle of Wednesday morning, so tomorrow morning. On current routing models, he is likely to be around 1 day slower than the record he set at 9 days, 7 hours when he led the 2016-2017 race into the southern hemisphere. That is Alex Thomson aboard Hugo Boss. And there again is the leaderboard from earlier today. And he is, I'll go back to the live leaderboard and scroll up here. Oops. And Thomson is some 87 nautical miles, you can see over there, ahead of Thomas Rouillant on linked out. And then 105 miles back of the leader is Jean Lecam on Yes We Can. Yes We Can. I can take my title off, Julie, I think. They know who we are. This is a video by France 24, one of the French television news channels, that explains what's going on, well, over the weekend. Have a look.
Sailing race is 7 days in, and the drama has been relentless. Cruising around the bulge of Africa, the fleet has a new leader, Alex Thomson of Hugo Boss. The Britons successfully navigated through Tropical Storm Theta over the weekend, tackling 6-meter high waves and consistent wind reaching up to 50 knots.
Very windy, very gusty, and some very big seas. Not a very pleasant place to be.
Calmer waters awaited the skippers on Sunday as they headed towards Cape Verde. It's still far from plain sailing, however, for the new leader, as France's Jean Lecam, at the tender age of 61, and his 13-year-old Yes We Can boat keeps up the pace, sitting just several nautical miles behind in second.
Jean Lecam, my God, he is unbelievable. To be where he is with that boat at his age, unbelievable.
It's been a severely testing week already, as race favourite Jérémy Bayou of Charal was forced to painfully return to port at Les Sables d'Olonne in France for essential repairs after rig and rudder damage.
À un moment, faut essayer d'avancer. Ce qui est dur, en fait, c'est la décision de faire demi-tour, quoi. Parce que, tu sais que tu lâches, tu es forcé de renoncer sur ce sur quoi tu t'es concentré pendant 4 ans de préparation.
Fabrice Amadeo, in his new Rest Art and Fenêtre boat, also had to head back to Port Olona after a large crack appeared in his mast, a sign of the grueling conditions. With only just over 10% of the race completed, The next few weeks promise a multitude of changes yet, as skippers battle to be crowned the king of the seas.
Nice report by France 24 TV, and we'll keep looking at them. Appreciate very much that helpful update of the last few days. Here's another video. This from YouTube from Boris Herman. I think this is Boris Herman's YouTube. Let's have a look. Yeah. There's no Boris in this. It's just obviously video. And there is on the YouTube page, there is nothing short of a torrent, a fire hose of video coming off these boats, and the Vendée Globe organizers putting it up. It's a bit overwhelming, but I thought I of course will curate these and find what I think are the best ones and put them up for you on each show. And this is night sailing, obviously, last night on Boris Herman's Yacht Club de Monaco boat. Sailing fast, Julia. Hang on. Go ahead, say again.
This is exactly the way for me to enjoy the Vendée Globe.
I think it's for all of us. But it is fascinating. As the France 24 guy said, it is, probably the toughest race because it's single-handed around the world alone, nonstop. Tough stuff. Okay. Now, here is a video from this morning from the race leader, Alex Thomson.
Hi, everybody. Still going strong. And in theory, the doldrums now are just 12 hours or so ahead. And everybody's saying, and it shows on the files, that doesn't look too active. But I've heard that one before, so I'll be prepared for whatever's going to come. But yeah, all's going good on board here. My father actually messaged me today saying, what's the noise level like on board? So maybe I can just let you have a quick listen to the noise. Hang on a second.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. So the faster you go, the noisier it gets. When you're going fast, maybe more than 25 knots in here, you can have average noise, maybe 90 to 98 decibels. The noise that's recorded for the hub on our website, that's updated every hour, that's just around the corner here inside the living area. And you'll see noises there up to 136, 138 decibels, something like that. And that in particular is the alarm. So the whole boat's set up with alarms, my sleep alarm, foil alarms, hull alarms, mast alarms. If you can think of an alarm, we've got it. And that runs at about 136 decibels. And so it's pretty loud. And for anybody who's ever sailed with me, I can be pretty hard to wake up sometimes. So, but that alarm certainly wakes me up. Anyway, onwards and upwards, or in this case downwards, on our way to the doldrums, looking forward to the South Atlantic, which also looks rather fast at the moment, and then the entry into the Southern Ocean. Have a good day, everyone.
You got to admit, it looks like he's having a ton of fun. Alex Thomson aboard Hugo Boss, and we'll follow him. He's the race leader. We've told you this before, but he goes into this race as the favorite or a favorite, and then something happens. This race and other races, he ends up running aground or having a breakdown or something. So we're going to be pulling for him, not because he's an Anglo, but because of his checkered past, and hopefully he can put one together the whole way around. Alex Thomson from Great Britain, the race leader. Again, that website, the YouTube Vendée Globe TV website, is terrific, and I commend it to you. And you can just Google Vendée Globe TV, and it pops right up, or YouTube. And they have, as I said, a fire hose of videos coming off there. This morning as I was putting the show together, they must have had, I don't know, 10 different videos pop up just in a 10, 15, 20-minute time. Julia?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay. As they say about the Vendée Globe out there all alone with 2 million people hanging on your every job. I like that claim, don't you?
Yeah, I do too. On the other hand, it is a little bit reassuring that you aren't exactly all alone in the world.
Well, true. It's not like you're out there and if something happens, nobody's going to know. Everybody's going to know. And there's a bunch of other boats around you and emergency services not too many hours away if something untoward does happen. For Tuesday, the 17th of November, our 350th show, our Cup date, AC 36 Cup date, there is some breaking news, actually. I don't know how significant a news this is, but it came from the Challenger of Record. I give a little love to their sponsors. Via notice, Challenger Record number 15, notice number 15, that came out late, yesterday afternoon, which would have been today, Tuesday. ETNZ, as it turns out, didn't pay their America's Cup World Series entry fee. Here's the notice itself from the Challenger of Record, who are running this Christmas regatta, the ACWS, America's Cup World Series Auckland. And without saying it, it's an omission here. Team News, they list the teams that have paid. We hereby inform you that the following competitors are compliant with the America's Cup Arbitration Panel's ruling of 6th November saying everybody had to pay the $300,000 entry fee. And the reason that teams were complaining because they had also paid a $300,000 entry fee for the Colliery Regatta, which didn't happen, for the Portsmouth Regatta, which didn't happen. And
they still owe it?
And they still paid the fee, and the teams are saying, "Hey, we've already paid $600,000. Why do we have to pay another $300,000? We paid them $600,000 for two regattas that didn't happen." And the arbitration panel said, "No, the rules are the rules. You got to pay." And that was an act of God. And of course, to be fair, the organizers of those other two regattas would have incurred any number of expenses in connection with that. And it was an act of God, force majeure, as you might say in French. So they asked, do we have to pay the $300,000 fee for this World Series Auckland? And the arbitration panel said, yes, you must do so, and you must do so within 7 days of decision, which was the 6th. So on the 13th, and they gave bank details, that is the Challenger record, and they said, here are the three teams that paid. No $300,000 from Emirates Team New Zealand.
Does that mean they cannot race?
Well, it means more than that if it stands, and I doubt it will. What it means is that they can't race in their own regatta. They've broken the rules. Their own America's Cup World Series regatta, the so-called, I guess it's now jointly being referred to as ACWS, America's Cup World Series.
Yeah.
And the Christmas Cup, which is the week before, 17th through the 20th, I think, of December.
Yeah. And they're being run as one or two?
Being run as one. So they only had to pay the $300,000 fee. It's not two regattas now.
Yeah, good.
But a team that doesn't enter all of the pre-regattas, the ACWS regattas, is, under the protocol, ineligible for the Cup.
For the Cup.
For the Cup. So I think this is probably a tempest in a teapot. Presumably they will pay. But so far they haven't. They've broken the rules, and the challengers as a group are mad as hornets.
Yes.
Or so I'm reliably informed. I started hearing about this last night, and I've been hearing about it all night and this morning and so on since they got up. It's now -3. It's 10:23 in Auckland on Wednesday morning, and the media down there haven't gotten wind of it yet. But when they do, you're going to start seeing the stories. Has Team New Zealand run out of money? Are they short of cash? Are they short? Because everybody says, the word keeps coming back saying they are pressed for finances. So we'll see. Or are they maybe they're thumbing their noses at the challengers and the R panel, which I doubt. Maybe they don't intend to enter, and they're just saying we're not going to enter now. And
nor defending
and try to kick us out of the Cup.
Well, they're not obliged to race, are they?
Well, they are, because if they don't, they're technically not eligible.
I know, but
America's Cup. But yes, all these teams are obliged to race in these pre-regattas,
and all four of them, including
the Defender.
The Defender.
That's why the Defender shipped their boat. Remember B1? They shipped to put it on a ship and sent it to Europe.
Yeah.
For naught. Lost a lot of days.
Yeah.
So this will be fought, mediated, and out in front of the R panel, and maybe they just will finally pay up and say, "Hey, mea culpa, sorry, we forgot, or we didn't have the cash, or whatever."
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is.
Now,
But,
if you go ahead,
no, but I mean, if there are just the defenders left and only the defenders race
challengers,
challengers, what happens?
well, the defender technically will be out of the cup.
Yeah.
And the challengers then will end up running their challenger selection series for the product cup, and whoever wins the product cup wins the match. That's not going to happen. They'll sort this out somehow. Now, if you look at this and you see it's signed by our longtime friend, Alessandra, Ali Pali, as we call her, Alessandra Ponderese, who's an Italian lawyer, Milano-based, longtime friend, great gal. And she's been a rules advisor to the Italian teams, one team or another, to the Challenger of Record, since, I guess, the 2000 Cup, maybe was when I first met her. Maybe before that. She could have been involved in 87, too. I know, don't rightly remember. Alessandra Ponderese, she's a tough gal. She's smart, smart cookie, and she is the Challenger of Records legal advisor. This is a photo taken a couple weeks ago that she sent this to me, or did I pull this off her Facebook page? But obviously she is in Auckland as they were splashing their B2, and she was there in the forecourt there at their team base, Alessandra Ponderese. A cool person if ever there was one in the cup.
Yeah.
You wanted to say something?
No, I'm just anxious to see how that's all going to play out.
Well, aren't we all? I was called last night, Julia, by a mutual friend of ours who said, call me, breaking news. It pings me and says, call me as soon as you can because there's breaking news. And, I think it's substantially, it's a big shock. It's a big surprise.
Yeah.
So we'll see what it all means as this plays out.
Oh, I can divine various reasons. I won't.
Well, as I said, either they run out of cash or they're thumbing their noses, or I don't think they forgot. You don't forget these kinds of things. Then their rules advisor, Russell Green, doesn't forget this kind of stuff.
No.
He when you're the rules advisor for a team, which, as you all know, I've been from, more than a handful. You make a chart. You make a key date schedule. You keep updating it religiously, and then you calendar the dates on your own electronic calendar and so on. So, see, now there's been this is just another in a series of arguments, is a polite way of putting it, between the Challenger of Record and the defender. The politics of war, America's Cup style, is what our FOSI Mark Wharton Reid called it, Mark Reid, who wrote this article this week for Latitude 38 here in the Bay Area, published it yesterday, actually. Just when you thought everyone involved in the America's Cup New Zealand was going to, quote, give peace a chance. Remember that song? Give
Yes.
Peace it seems that it's a battle on all fronts for ETNZ and its CEO, Grant Dalton. If they aren't feuding with the Challenger of Record, Luna Rossa, over a key component of the foil cant system, or the Port of Auckland about opening up the city front racecourse areas, courses Bravo and Charlie, as you know, it's about the government of New Zealand's Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, MB, ongoing allegations of financial mismanagement by the team. So, Mark, and it was quite a good article. I commend it to you, latitude38.com. And it's a Bay Area, very successful Bay Area magazine, been around for a long time. And a lot of our local friends write for it, as do some others. And Mark, these are photos that I lifted from the article. You can go read the article, but he's in effect saying, where's the trustee? Trustee, this is my caption, but it's essentially what Mark was saying in his article. And he's also asking the question, what about the Kiwi public? Is the enthusiasm for the cup among the Kiwi public, is it waning? This is obviously when they brought the cup back this last time after winning it in Bermuda. And then he also puts forward the notion, which we have been saying for some time, I didn't use, it's his word, beleaguered. He uses the word beleaguered. CEO Grant Dalton wearing too many hats was the question that Mark Reid asked in his article.
How many people have asked that same question?
Well, we've been asking it for quite some time
know.
here, and others now have been piling on and saying it, and it's a fair question. I mean, it's for sure a fair question.
Yes.
Now, I've got a couple of videos. I'm going to start with just sort of some good news video, because this whole thing starts in a month, and they, AC36, which is an amalgamation and a website, and they create videos together and do PR on behalf of both the Challenger Selection Series and the match. They created a video and released it yesterday or this morning. I can't remember now. It's always confusing as between the dates, because if it says the 17th on it, it might have gotten posted on the 17th, which is today, but it might have been released on the 17th, which is New Zealand. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In the last day or so, they released this video. Have a look.
Stand by. Tell posse. 2, 1, down. Next move. Number 1, 2, 1.
Now it's almost spooky. The music was almost Halloweenish, I thought. Didn't you think?
Well, it was probably Halloween when they made it.
We'll give some more love to their sponsors here, but that's a video just released. We won't keep looking at videos from others on their YouTube channel. But Mr. Dalton is, we'll see what's going on, and we'll no doubt there'll be some news reports here in the next day or so about what is going on, at least from the Kiwi journalist standpoint. Richard Gladwell has written nothing yet, and I'm sure he's aware of it, because I think when I was sent those two clips from the notice from the Challenger record, pretty sure I texted them down to Richard and say, hey, WTF. But we'll see. Now, this is a video, one of the two guys down there that are recording videos, and have a look at this. This is Airflow NZ Travel, and I think you'll enjoy this as well. There's no audio with it. Luna Rossa Prata Pirelli sailing yesterday, Monday the 16th. Now, remember, this boat's been modified. They disappeared into their shed for a week, and we're all wondering with structural problems or what, measurement problems. We know they've got some measurement problems. Turns out they've added this keelson, this extra dangle, not similar to Ben's bulge, but not as pronounced and not wide and flat on the bottom. It's more knife-edged, more like a skiff, but they've definitely increased the bulge on the bottom of their boat along the keel. This again for this presumed end plating effect. And also to help, apparently, with an air cushion. And maybe to help, and certainly to help get it launched when it does touch down, like it did right there.
Yeah.
A little air cushion for additional lift under the boat. There's a number of things. Watch this tack.
Wow. Just a bounce.
So you can see, it's hard to see. You can see the skeg running all the way back to the rudder. If I stop that, let's see if I can stop that and go up here to the, you can see this very pronounced skeg, and it's a skeg technically in the back end of the boat, and it's going all the way back there to the rudder, but they've definitely increased this keelson along the bottom of the boat on the center line. You can go to the Airflow NZ. He's got a couple channels. It's YouTube, but you can Airflow NZ and then put in travel because he's apparently including these on his YouTube page that's got a lot of other travel things. He's also got Airflow, meaning he's apparently a pilot. He certainly is another tack.
Gordon Smith says keelfin is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, keel fin, not maybe. Maybe it is. I don't know, Gordon. Keel sun. Bow skeg. We debated that the other day,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure there was universal agreement on what to call it. Keel fin.
Do we know what the Wet Hog wants to know if we know what their measurement issues are?
Yeah, I'm not at liberty to say, and I will elaborate in due course. I do know what it's about, but I've been asked not to say anything about it, so I won't.
Good enough. And Sailing Swede says, see if someone can help you sync the frame rates, Tom, or maybe a plug-in to your broadcast software to embed clips rather than just replay on your screen.
Yeah, we know we've got a little bit of a problem here with this video not playing the videos today not playing very smoothly. Who made the comment, by the way?
The Sailing Swede.
Okay, good. Yeah, I've got an AV sync problem here today. This whole transfer over to YouTube has not been perfectly smooth, and we've got some issues here, and we apologize for it because this is a little herky-jerky, and most of you who are regulars, been followers for a long time, know that we are able to play videos perfectly smoothly, and this one is definitely not. Okay, enough of all that. I will press on here. Richard Gladwell has written quite a good article, as usual. His daily article, or nearly daily article, called Rialto. And the three challengers all enjoyed a solid afternoon sailing in near perfect conditions, an 18-knot breeze from the south-southwest, bright sunshine and blue skies. The Waitemata turned on its typical offshore summer breeze, albeit 60 degrees further south than a normal at 210 degrees and averaging 20 knots. And it would have been interesting to see whether course Bravo or Charlie were used, or a combination of the two on a day like today. American Magic was first out to dock out. This is today, the 17th. This is about sailing on today, the 17th. Which is Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday down there now.
Yeah.
American Magic was the first to dock out, followed by the Brits at noon, Luna Rossa around 13. After all three rigged up in the North Head area, the Brits took off out of Rangitoto Channel for some private practice out in the Hauraki Gulf, where maybe they got steady breeze, but the three courses, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta, dotted, but with the three courses, I think there's a typo there, dotted around the Waitemata, are noted for varying pressure and directional changes than the steady breezes of the Hauraki Gulf. American Magic had again laid some marks for racing practice and did several laps, getting the ley lines and approach angles sorted out, and looked to be hitting her targets. It was very hard to see any real repeatable speed edge that one had over the other. In trying to pick performance, this is Richard Gladwell, of course, writing, in picking one over the other, in trying to pick the performance differences, there is to be an acute awareness of the viewing angle and also the course being sailed by, and much more than just that, of course. There can be big apparent speed differences when the boats are traveling in the same general direction, but a closer look at course angle and wind directions. Okay, yada, yada, yada. And, of course, this game will go on, he says in the third to last paragraph, and it'll go up several clicks when ETNZ gets sailing at the end of the week. And we can tell you that what we've been telling you, I hear again, they are going to splash their B2, that is ETNZ's boat, on Thursday, the 19th. We broke that news a couple of weeks ago, and I'm hearing that again now being confirmed by any number of people. So Gladwell says, won't it be nice when they get out on the water in a week's time, give or take? And will the challengers sail, he asks, against the Defender? Watch this space. And that's, will they? And inevitably they'll hook up. They always do. We always did. They always will do. And that's Richard Gladwell's writing on sail-world.com today, the 17th. And, of course, again, it's the 18th now down there in beautiful Auckland. It looks like some new branding, some colors, or a new mainsail maybe
Oh, yes, it does.
on American Magic. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli there in the background, and a very small jib being used in the up range now in the 20, as Richard said, 20.
It's hard to believe that that jib would do anything.
Well, it does, and it's not so much for sail area, but it also helps smooth the airflow over the front,
Oh, that could be.
over the wing,
Yeah.
and it's also a balance issue.
Mm.
We'll see what that's all about. Here's a pretty good bow-on shot by Richard from today, the Tuesday. You can see how flat that jib is, Julia, and it's right down on the deck.
Yep.
End plating to the deck, as is the main end plating right to the hull.
Mm-hmm.
Cockpit floor, in effect. It's really not even a cockpit. You can see there's straight foils,
Mm-hmm.
unlike the foils we see on the Brit boat. Now here's the Brit boat, and there's no foil shot here. This is another Richard Gladwell shot. And the Brits were also obviously out there sailing around. And here is a video that the Brits released in the last 24 hours that I also thought you would enjoy.
Interesting.
Got a GoPro up on their red bowsprit. It's just a brief little marketing video, promotional video from Ineos Team UK. Okay, that's it for our AC36 Cup date. I think we'll have a lot more on Friday after we see the ETNZ boat launched on Thursday.
Yeah.
And that means it's being launched on Wednesday, our time, being launched down there on Thursday. So we should have plenty of images and maybe some insight come Friday for our show on Friday. Julia, what else? Any questions or comments?
They're asking, which you mentioned, the coordinated, would they, with the ENTC, would they practice on course?
Well, they can't under the rules, as you all know. Under the rules, they cannot hook up. They cannot have unofficial, informal practicing. They can't actually go out and line up and go trial. Nobody, not challengers, not vis-a-vis each other or the challengers against the defender.
Yeah. Daniel Grin says Ben's boat is too slow, I think, and too unstable. We don't know that yet, though. I don't think.
Well, I'm hearing things, and again, I'm really not at liberty because I'm hearing stuff from team insiders on the various teams, and you don't know whether to trust it because sometimes they're spinning me, sometimes they just let's just hold off. Let's get all the boats on the water and let's see what we've got.
And Doug Zillamantra says, will ENTC boat 2 be launched with a big decal on the mainsail that says MBIE?
Well, we don't know where they're getting their money. They need more money, apparently. And as we've told you, it's amazing that we know that Mr. Dalton has apparently been shopping the venue, the AC37 venue, to places outside of New Zealand, notwithstanding that in the host venue agreement, Auckland or New Zealand has the first right of negotiation and refusal. Maybe not refusal, first right of negotiation. So we shall see. Ineos is remarkably stable, Gordon Smith said. Did you read that?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What else? What other comments?
Sailing Suite says, Ruski Chelinsky? Where's that from?
It's awkward to look at. Sorry for the rant. Yeah, I apologize too. And those, who is Sailing Swede? Do you have a real name? That's one disadvantage to YouTube is that people can hide behind.
Yeah.
Well, you could do that too. I mean, you had Stingray with Stingray on rather than his real name on Facebook. But we're still working on Facebook too, by the way. And yeah, Sailing Swede, believe me, we're aware of the sync issues and we don't normally have them. We're trying something new today and we'll see. We'll see if we can get that sorted out. Okay. shall we move forward, Julia?
Mm-hmm.
There's also some breaking news. It's been reported on a couple other media outlets. But remember when we co-streamed, we had a watch party when the RORC announced the change of the finish for the 2021 Fastnet race from Plymouth, England, where it's traditionally always finished,
Right.
to
Cherbourg.
Cherbourg, France.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a stream. We had a lot of you on here. We were watching and asking questions. And my longtime friend there in the lower right, Eddie Warden Owen, is the CEO of the RORC and has been taking some heat for this decision. And now RORC members, under their rules and regs, are able to call, if enough of them sign up, to a request for an EGM. I guess it's going to be combined with their AGM, their annual general meeting, and an extraordinary general meeting is being held, I believe, on the 7th of December. I think I have that date right. And here is just a little teaser that Rolex has put out for the 2021 Fastnet, including the new finish in Cherbourg, France, that I thought you would enjoy. Have a look. Well, that, as I said, was just a teaser, and it's a fabulous race, one of, along with the Bermuda race and the Rolex Middle Sea race and the Sydney Hobart and one or two others. It is arguably the coolest ocean race, certainly among the coolest ocean races in the world. Every other year, from the Solent in front of the Royal Yacht Squadron out around Fastnet Rock and back normally to Plymouth. And now it's going to be finished unless the RORC members change this. And I don't think it's going to get changed myself. But they're planning, and they have announced that the finish will be in Cherbourg, France. Now, why? Because Plymouth, they're putting some pressure on Plymouth, and they've announced this just for the next two editions of the race, 2021 and 2023. And it's always been an S fight in Plymouth. I mean, this is what it looks like at the finish of all those boats jammed into Plymouth Harbor, and the facilities are not all that flash. The city, like a lot of cities, I think have been looking at this as a cash cow and haven't been reinvesting, although they supposedly have a plan to do some investment and upgrade things, and maybe this will be the impetus to cause them to do it.
It's probably big reason why they did it.
The big reason why the RORC did it. Yeah, exactly, to put some pressure on the town hall there in Plymouth. So we'll see what happens, but Cherbourg, in the meantime, in France, where yachting and yacht racing is a huge deal, in France, especially ocean racing, are really keen to have the finish and have offered, no doubt, I don't know the amounts, but offered up money and so on. The other issue is that this is really not very popular with a lot of sailors. We had on here the other day, we had Andrew Cape on the show when he was announcing his Great Cape race.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him when I was interviewing him what he thought, and he was pretty straightforward. He said, I think it's terrible. It's going to add a lot of complexity to getting across the English Channel.
Oh, just from a sailing
title. From a sailing standpoint, a lot of sailors, he said, and that guy's got as many ocean miles as just about anybody on the planet, certainly among the top, handful of people. Andrew Capey, as he's known, and he was pretty straightforward about it. Said, no, I don't think it's a good idea, irrespective of what kind of facilities they have or have had in Plymouth. So the real issue, though, is Eddie Warden Owen this is in front of the Royal Ocean Racing Club there at 20 St. James Place in beautiful. It's a beautiful building, an old building at the end of a L-shaped dogleg street. And I have spent a lot of hours in there, Julia, playing the guitar, singing, and having a couple cocktails and so on. Eddie Warden, Owen, our longtime friend who is the CEO, is facing a little bit of an uprising from his membership. But I'm told reliably by FOSI that it's really more about the issue, the organizational issues, saying that an issue of this importance and significance to the club, these are the resolutions, by the way. We actually have the resolutions. And we're not your typical cut and paste media that are just saying, oh, they're having an EGM and an AGM, and this is a big deal. I don't think it is, from what I'm hearing. It is an issue of this importance. It is these 3 points that are on the up for vote, these resolutions, that an issue of this importance and significance to the club should not be decided by the committee, meaning the board, without involving the membership. Are you for it or against it? B, that the manner in which this matter was conducted was inappropriate for a members club, for or against. And C, resolution C, that the change of course is potentially hazardous and may damage the standing of the Rolex Fastnet race, for or against. So these resolutions that are put
Pretty
to
serious.
the meeting are serious, but they're not saying we want resolution D, we want the race course changed back to finish in Plymouth, for or against.
Well, they're just asking everybody's opinion, and that's a good idea.
It is. And I don't think the membership under their bylaws have the authority to make that decision. It is up to the board with the advice and consent maybe of the CEO, or certainly the advice of Eddie Warden Owen. So I'm told that the contracts are in place with Cherbourg. The chances of Cherbourg finish not happening there next summer, the summer of 2021, hopefully the race goes on, is not, it's very small that it'll change because of the contracts and all the planning and the preparation and the financial involvement and so on of all parties.
And one number knows till they try it. And if they try it and it's a disaster, they can change it.
Well, that's a good point, too. And it is only for 2 editions.
Yeah.
So they'll give it a whirl probably next summer, is what I'm hearing from FOSI. And thanks to those of you who did fill us in on that. Julie, do you want to look at comments? I see we've got a few on this topic, as usual.
Yes.
Daniel Groon doesn't seem too
Right.
confident with about the boat of Ben Ainsley. See that?
Yeah.
Had hoped for a better boat, just have to keep the faith now. I think I wouldn't get down, guy. I think it's too early to tell. I think these teams are holding their cards close to their chests, and we'll see. I'm hearing certain things, and I will say this. I think New York Yacht Club's boat overall, I think the time on the water, I think their software controls, I think they're looking pretty good. Whether they can beat ETNZ or they can beat the other 2 challengers remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Julia.
Oh, and Daniel Gruen says later, there might not be another AC in Auckland, Gordon. The New Zealand government will cut off ETs in ETNZ. So if the Kiwis defend, they may very well move it someplace else.
Well, there will be hell to pay if they try to move it out of Auckland. I mean, as I put that picture of the trustee, where's the trustee? Now, notwithstanding...
Who is a trustee?
Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron.
Oh, yes.
And notwithstanding that the Golden Gate Yacht Club let Larry and Russell move it to Bermuda,
Yes.
which was a disaster, and I was Vice Commodore of the Golden Gate Yacht Club, and I resigned in protest. I mean, I said, excuse me. No, I didn't make a big stink about it, but, I said, we'll wait and see how it goes. But I can't imagine going to light air Bermuda, expensive Bermuda. San Francisco's not cheap.
No.
And that was a massive mistake. And, here you are, iconically beautiful, reliably windy.
Yes.
San Francisco Bay. What other comments, Julia?
Ineos.
Nobody know, but what about Portsmouth and Plymouth? I thought I saw some comments about
I didn't
that.
see any.
I guess not. Okay, so I think maybe that means people agree, or else maybe they disagree vehemently with us. It probably means that they agree. We'll take a wait and see attitude.
Yeah.
And on their meeting on, I think it's December 7th. I think I was reliably.
Pearl
Okay, Bravo Zulu, couple Bravo Zulus. And while we're on the idea of signal flags, we're going to give a Bravo Zulu again to the San Francisco Yacht Club because their initiative, Charlie Golf Over 1, is getting good ink not only here in the Bay Area, but around the world. And we've been hearing about this effort. We've been promoting it ourselves. We know that hundreds of yacht clubs on every continent now in the world are displaying it. It's, it's no big deal, but it's a nice reach out to their own members and to the community saying, these flags, as you I'm sure all know that are regulars watching here, in naval parlance dating back 100 years now almost, mean we stand by to assist. And Julie and I have a couple T-shirts that have been given to us by the club, and others of you can get that T-shirt. It's a nice T-shirt from San Francisco Yacht Club if you are so inclined. Really nice ink in a local paper, and we don't get much sailing ink around here,
or none.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty rare. But and this is a small paper over in Marin County on the north side of the bridge called the ARC. And sailors across the globe adopt the Yacht Club's message of support amid the pandemic. And the gal Hannah Weichel, I guess is her name, wrote a really nice article, and it was not just a couple paragraphs. It went on, and then she called me as well because the club had said, well, we've been helping to Sailing Illustrated has been helping to promote this. So she called and made a nice mention on later in the article, which was nice. But the point is that for yacht clubs, and look at the headline: sailors across the globe adopt yacht club's message of support and pain. You can't buy ink like that, especially here in the U.S. Maybe in other countries and other clubs, but it's nice for the sport to get this kind of
Absolutely.
ink. And I urge all of you, I commend this to you. If you haven't done it in your clubs, do it and get a little PR for it.
And the secondary headline is solidarity brings. Oops.
What did I?
Yeah.
Brings
new meaning as COVID-19 case shuts facility.
Yeah.
But everybody needs a little help right now.
No, that's a good point. The subhead's good too. I didn't see that in my rush to get the show put together. Thank you, Julia. Good point. So everybody needs a little PR, exactly, a little lift, and we don't have the Charlie Golf over one. We ought to put it up here on our flagpole at the Beach Street Yacht Club.
We should
on the street. Notwithstanding, we don't have a flagpole.
I was going to say no.
But maybe we should erect one and hang it off the front of the building.
Better yet, you can do a virtual one, and we'll hang it off a virtual.
How do we do that?
Well, make one online and paste it in a.
Oh, you just put it in the window, out on the front street in the America's Cup Lounge.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough of all that. Nice ink. Thank you to the ARC newspaper, and congrats again to the San Francisco Yacht Club and all the other hundreds of yacht clubs, including in Australia, where the Australian Yachting Federation, or whatever it's called, Australia Sailing, whatever I can't keep track of all the MNAs, member national authorities, that have changed their names. But remember, Alistair Murray told us about that when he was on.
And there were like 177 yacht clubs or something like that.
Yeah. At that time, and that was months ago.
Yeah.
So nice stuff. What are the comments here? Could COVID be a great opportunity for clubs to reach out to their communities to support those who need it, i.e., non-sailors and those who might not know sail? Yeah, exactly. I mean, why not? These clubs, a lot of your clubs are all struggling just to stay in business.
Absolutely.
With food and so on. Okay. Another Bravo Zulu. This was not on my radar screen, but they've obviously been preparing for it 4 months. The Maxi Trimaran Edmund de Rothschild is about to launch their round the world record attempt, nonstop round the world record attempt. They have gone code orange, which means they could go in the next 48 to 72 hours. Then start. Apparently, they're planning to start now on Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday of this week, I think, is what I'm hearing. The two skippers, the celebrated Franck Camas, who we know well, done a cup campaign with Franck, actually, America's Cup, and Charles Caudrelier, together with their meteorologists, have identified a suitable weather window for Wednesday, tomorrow, which should allow them to cross the equator quickly. The Trimaran will be made ready for the start. The 6-member team completed the corona test yesterday, so they too have to take a COVID test. The record for the nonstop global circumnavigation by Francis Joyon in his trimaran IDEC is 40 days and 23 hours.
That's incredible.
And that, of course, is for the trophy Jules Verne. And that little report via Sailing Anarchy. So thanks for that. And we'll be watching that. Hopefully they get launched for that attempt tomorrow, Wednesday. Julia, we're only an hour into the show, and we're on our final segment. That's got to be some kind of
that's new.
little shorter show than usual. But we're in our
that's all right.
Our Whiskey Tango Foxtrot segment here now. You know, the vaccine, the good news and bad news, there is a vaccine. And the bad news for some of us is when the hell are we going to have access to it? And they keep telling us maybe it's 2021, first quarter of 2020. I don't think many of us are going to get it yet this year. And they're still, at least in this country, worrying about the distribution and keeping it cold enough and yada, yada, these two vaccines. But who gets the vaccine and when is kind of the question of the week, and we've been studying that a little bit, and here's what we have learned from various news reports, not just in this country, but beyond. First off, are the frontline workers, meaning the medical professionals. I thought you'd like that picture.
Oh, I do.
So the frontliners will be the first, as they should be. There's no question, I think, in anybody's mind. Now, concurrent with that, or soon thereafter, will be other what are called, at least here, essential workers. And the delivery people, the grocery people, the firemen, the police, firemen and women, the firefighters, I guess is the politically correct word now, right? So that's number two. Number three is the military. Probably all the countries are going to be getting their military sorted out, and they're frontline essential workers, no doubt. Then number four, I hear, will be the politicians, government officials, and other VIPs will be next. Then, and how much of this is concurrent or not depends on the dosages, but, you know, they're not going to have billions of these dosages, and then they have to spread them around the world. Next, number five, are persons, whoops, I got a little ahead of myself. There are persons with comorbidities. Not necessarily old folks, but people who have underlying serious disease or risk of dying if they get the bloody COVID. They will be next in line. And then, only then, Julia, will old people like you and me, senior citizens, then apparently are next in line. A screenshot from our show on Friday. Then the rest of you can get it. You young folks, and others. But you know, it's going to be a while. Assuming it all checks out with the FDA and the CDC and the other authorities around the world. And I mean, you're going to take it, aren't you? You'll take a vaccine?
Yes, but I don't know which one yet.
Well, I'll take whichever one comes along offered first, won't you?
Not necessarily.
Why not?
I'll take the opinion of a couple people.
Oh, so you'll study it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. Will you let me know then which one we should get?
I'll whisper it.
You whisper in my ear. My study has pronounced this.
Yeah.
And Gordon Smith rightfully saying, not sure this list is actually the same in every country. Yeah, that's for sure. But I think it's probably pretty close. And again, you know, some of that will be overlapping and concurrent. But it's, even for, you know, you think that senior citizens are going to get it. But, you know, there is, increasingly you're saying, well, you know, you old people have had a nice life. Maybe we ought to give it to the younger people first, especially those with comorbidities.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay. So regardless, stay safe, go sailing continues to be the theme. And I also want to add to that now, having watched Dr. John Campbell, his latest couple videos, the celebrated nursing professor in the UK, whom we've been following. And he's also on YouTube, has 750,000 followers, subscribers on his YouTube channel. And he has boiled it down to these four words. He said, hands, face, space, and ventilate. Because following on what Andrew McIrvin has told us, he's been on the show several times, the celebrated British surgeon, doctor. and others, it's now increasingly clear that this ventilation, going sailing, getting out in the open air, opening the window. I mean, here in the studio even, we got a window open. We have the door open a crack, so we get some ventilation in here. Should, for some reason, I pick it up when I go out to run an errand for Julia, or she gets it from one of her gentleman callers. She has all these boyfriends that show up upstairs at the Commodore's suite.
Oh, no. How can
No,
you say
but
that?
even we are maintaining, despite the amount of time that we spend together during the week, we're trying to maintain social distance, and we have decided not to go to Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, and
with
too bad,
friends.
because it's Thanksgiving, my very favorite holiday. But
But why risk it? We've done
Yeah.
all. We've gone this far, taken this amount of caution, and why risk it now? So hands, face, space, and ventilate. Interestingly, it's starting to become clear. A lot of you who are anti-maskers, or at least not pro-maskers, it's now becoming apparent that the mask not only helps you from infecting other people, but there is some degree of protection for yourself. Not that it's going to keep you, at least to the normal surgical masks or the things that most people wear. It's not an N95 mask, one of these things that really is, and they're too hard to wear around all day, every day anyway, unless you're in the hospital, in the operating room, and you're dealing with people who've got COVID. But it turns out that the mask, from what I'm hearing and reading, the mask helps you as well, because even though it won't cut out all of the COVID in the air, it will reduce the viral load. And this is just new news in the last 3 or 4 days from Dr. John Campbell and others, is that the mask does help you, because you probably are still going to get it if somebody comes and sneezes on you and you got a mask on. But you won't get it as bad.
Mm-hmm.
If you cut down on the viral load,
That makes
your
sense.
level of infection will not be
Yeah.
as severe, or may not be as severe.
Yeah.
Or so we're reading and seeing. So hands, face, space, and ventilate is the latest news we're hearing. We should probably get our good friend Andrew McIrvin back on for an update, because
John
we're going
Camp-
the long, cold winter.
Yeah.
Cold, dark winter,
Yeah. Woo.
Vice President
Yes.
Biden called it.
John Campbell, Dr. John Campbell, is a very interesting kind of guy, and he's a teacher, and so he does things very simply. He'll draw a little chart, and he'll take you through it, and it can be very complicated, but you understand it by the time he's finished, and
Yeah, he's a professor of nursing, or
Yeah.
retired professor of nursing, and he's very clear, down to earth, and
yes,
he comes on and he says, "Hi, welcome to this video." He starts it and he said goodbye. There's no intros and there's no countdowns.
right, and
And it's good.
I don't know anybody else online or off who follows the newest research on the subject absolutely 24 hours a day.
And sometimes he does 2 shows a day.
Yes.
Sometimes 3. So
Mm-hmm.
he's good.
Yep.
We commend him to you. But that's the latest we're hearing, and that is hands, face, space, and ventilate is the new claim, along with stay safe, go sailing.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, a couple of funnies that you all have sent us. Stop looking at boats. You already have 2. Why can't you just look at porn like a normal husband? You didn't wave a finger on that. That's okay, isn't it?
I didn't.
That one's okay. Dear 2020, first of all, I would like to let you know I'm typing this with my middle finger. Snoopy, the famously good one-finger typist. And finally, several of you sent this or similar. There have been several of these memes, but they're still funny. I can't stress this enough, Marty. Doc says, never, ever said it to 2020. Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Thanks to Dick Anderson for this meme that we always use at the end of our 2020 segment, our WTF Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. What the fudge segment. Okay, that does it for us. Julia, your witness, over to you.
Yes. This is like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe isn't so scary. Just means that you get notifications.
Yeah, it's not like you're paying a magazine subscription.
And we need to upgrade the number of subscribers we have, because we didn't get all our subscribers on to show from
from
YouTube.
Have not migrated from YouTube. But the good news is we're getting lots. In fact, we're getting lots of new subscribers.
Yeah, we are.
And YouTube treats you a lot better once you get over 1,000 subscribers. And I think when I last looked, we're up to like 330 or something. So we need to get over 1,000. So just go click on the subscribe, please. And it also, once that happens, they start sharing our videos more broadly within the YouTube footprint, and then other people see it and other people subscribe, and it's typically viral.
Yeah, it's really good.
And if you're so inclined, please become a patron via Patreon. You can go over to patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Give us a few bucks. It is largely, we get the odd sponsor, but it's largely viewer-supported media, for which we are deeply appreciative, and hope to see you back here for our show on Friday, when we should have an update. And this does it for 350, Julia.
Oh, and
just a number.
Just a number. We're gonna have champagne, but there are probably another occasion we could do that.
Well, why have a show? We can have champagne anyway.
Well, we could.
We could have champagne for 350 in every show. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you on Friday. In the meantime, stay safe. Go sailing. Get out in that fresh air. Ventilate. And we hope you have a terrific week. Ciao. Bye.